In this video, you're going to learn how to make multiple pages for a website and include a navigation bar on each of those pages so that your user can travel between pages. So a navigation bar looks like these examples here. You've seen it on multiple websites, I'm sure. You can do it vertically, similar to this navigation bar over here. You can do it horizontally. They've got this example up here. So this web page actually has both a horizontal and a vertical navigation bar. Most websites only have one or the other. Typically, I think horizontal is a bit more common. So you're going to see how to do that. We're going to start by seeing just how to add a second page to your website and link just that one page, and then we'll move into creating multiple pages with a navigation bar. So I'm going to come over here to this website. You can see this is a pretty simple web page. All I've got on here is a single H1 element. So if I wanted to add another page to this website, my first step is going to be to make a new file. So I'm actually going to click over here on this Add File button. And if you're using Notepad++, you're just going to make a new Notepad++ file, save it into the same folder where you saved your first file. All right, so the name of this is going to be important. I do need to end it in .html. I'm going to call this contact.html because I was making a website with these pages. I've got my home page, and then I want a contact page or a contact us page so users can learn how to get in touch with me or my company. So here we go. I've got my two HTML files. There's no code in the second one, so I'm just going to copy the code from here, and I'm going to copy it and paste it in here. And then I'm just going to change it up. So instead of home page, I'm going to say contact us. Okay. We can run this. And it's still showing home page because when I click run, it looks for a file called index.html. And that is going to be the site that it shows. So we want to make sure that we do put index.html as our homepage on our website, but then we can link to our other page. So I'm going to go back here, and above my heading, I'm going to add a link here. So to make a link, we use the A tag. And if you're not familiar with the A tag, you can look it up on W3 Schools. But the idea is we've got our opening and closing tags. In between, we're going to put the text that we want to show as our link. So I'm just going to say contact us. And then I need to specify what it's linking to. So I'm going to add an attribute in my opening A tag. It's href. And then inside of my quotes, I'm going to put the name of the file that I want it to link to. So contact.html. And now I'm going to run this. And you can see I've got this link up here. And when I click on it, it takes it to this Contact Us page. And the code for that is here. So be careful if you're using REPL. The code that you're seeing here may not be the code for this page. If you click between these files, you can change the code, but it's not going to change what's over here. This is coming from index.html, and then we clicked on the link. All right, so now I'm going to do something similar where I link contact.html to index.html, so I can go back and forth between those. So I'm just going to copy this, move it over here. I'm going to change the text to say home because this is going to link to my home page. And then I'm going to change the file name that it's linking to index.html. So now I'm going to run this. It still shows me my home page here. When I click on Contact Us, it takes me over to this page. And now I've got this nice link back to my home page. Before I couldn't get back to my home page once I got to Contact Us. So now I can go back and forth between my two pages. So we have the starting of a navigation bar. We've got links that go back and forth between our pages, but we may have more than 2 pages. A lot of websites have 10, 20 pages, and we don't just want a bunch of links at the top. That just kind of looks ugly and takes up a lot of space. So I'm going to move over to this example over here where I actually have 4 different pages. So we can go through these. They're all fairly basic with just a nav bar and a heading. And I'm going to make a nav bar on each page that will let us get to any other page from there. So we actually have that here. It just looks kind of ugly, and we'll talk about how to style it. So if I click on home page, I'm going to stay on my home page. If I click on page 2, that takes me to page 2. I've still got the nav bar here, so maybe I want to jump to page 4. Maybe I want to go back to home. So I can just kind of navigate through all my pages, wherever I am, whichever page I'm on, I can go to any other page. So the way that we do that is we do use links. So you'll see here the A tag to make links, and I've done that for each of my pages. Putting in the text that I want to show, putting in the file that it's going to link to. But you'll notice that these A tags are nested inside of LI elements. And this is part of a list. So LI stands for list item, and this UL stands for unordered list. So if you're not familiar with unordered lists or list items, you can look at that on W3 Schools. But the idea is that you have a LI element for every link that you want in your navigation bar, and within that LI element, you have your opening and closing A tags. Once you have that, that creates this unordered list with bullet points. So that's your first step, is put in that unordered list of links, test it out, make sure it works, and then you're ready to start styling it and making it look nicer. So that's where we're going to come back here to this CSS navigation bar page on W3 Schools. And you're going to have to pick what kind of navigation bar do you want. Do you want vertical, horizontal? You can see over here the links for these. So I'm going to choose a horizontal nav bar. And we can see different examples. They actually have quite a few on here. I'm going to scroll down to one of the later ones. Each example sort of adds on more features. So the later ones are kind of nicer looking nav bars. Let's see, I think I'm going to do, we'll do this one. So I'm going to do this where it kind of highlights which one I'm hovering over, which is pretty nice. It shows which page I'm on, highlighting that in green, and just kind of looks nice and clean. So, once we've got it working, you can change up the colors on here and kind of customize it. I just happen to like this one, but you can pick whichever one you want. So we can see this over here. And then this styling, this is all CSS. Again, W3 Schools likes to put their CSS in their HTML. We're not going to do that. We're going to put it in our separate CSS file. But I'm just going to start by copying all of their CSS code, and then we'll go through it and customize it to make our nav bar nicer. So I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go to my CSS file. And then, let's see, I'm going to add in here. I've already got a little bit for my heading and body. I'm just going to add in that code. And notice, since all of these HTML files have a link in the head to my style sheet, I only have to put this in once, and it's going to affect the nav bar on every single page. So that's the reason why I always say put your CSS code in a separate CSS file. It's so that you only have to write it once, and you don't have to create that code, copy and paste it into every single HTML file, because that would be a pain. All right, so now let's go back to their example. There we go. And you'll notice that they've actually got some extra attributes in here. They have a class attribute, and that lets us style just this one A element. So the dot active right here that says, okay, look for elements in the active class. And we're going to make their background color a different color. This is just another way of writing a color. If you prefer writing out, the name of the color, that's, fine. I actually think that's easier to understand. This is just another way to say green. So it's styling this one link right here. So I'm going to add this attribute into my HTML code so that this CSS actually does something. So I'm going to come over to here. I'm going to go into my home page. And when I'm on my home page, I want this link that links to the home page to be labeled as active. When I'm on page 2, I want this link to be labeled as active. That one will be highlighted green. So I'm going to add the attribute here. Same thing for page 3. I'm going to add it right here. And then page 4, I'm going to add it here. Okay. So let's run it. Let's just see how this looks, and then we can customize from there. All right. So here we go. We've got on our home page, it's highlighted green. If I click on page 2, now page 2 is highlighted in green. Same thing for page 3 and page 4. So that's why we had to add that class equals active into our code, is to indicate which of those links should be styled by this active code with the background color. Now you'll notice in here there's some kind of new formatting. We've got this LI : last child, LIA. These are specifying that, for example, we don't want to just style the list element, we want to style the list of links, because that's really what our navbar is. It's a list of links. So we're setting their display property, their color, to white. That's how we get this white text. Centering the text within this box here, just to make it look a little nicer, and so on. This part, LIA : hover : not dot active. That is saying that we are styling our list of links, but only when we're hovering over them, and only if they are not labeled as active. So when I hover over it, it turns black, and when I'm not, it is grayed out. So we're just changing the background color when we are hovering over it, as we specify here. But we aren't doing that for the active one. When I hover over this, the color doesn't change. So that's why we've got this not dot active. You don't need to memorize that. Again, I would recommend just go to W3 Schools, copy the CSS, and then change it how you like. So for example, I maybe want to change the highlight color for the one that's active. Maybe instead of green, I want to make that blue. And so now when I run this, you can see it here. So you can play around with this, change the colors, change the fonts, however you'd like, but that's the basics of your navbar. You make your pages over here by adding files, put your code in them, you make your list of links, then you add your CSS, and if you want to be able to highlight which one is active, then in your HTML you need to add this class equals active to the appropriate link on each page.